The Wolves was published in 2022 by Pandasaurus Games. It was designed by Ashwin Kamath and Clarence Simpson and is illustrated by Paulina Linyama. Pandasaurus Games provided this in exchange for an honest review. 2 to 5 players grow the influence of their wolf packs by spreading out across the land. Players move their pack and alpha wolves across the board to gain area majorities in board regions. In addition to moving, you'll build dens and lairs, howl at lone wolves to recruit them, and dominate weak rivals. You'll also capture prey by surrounding them with 3 of your wolves. Actions require flipping 1, 2, or 3 terrain tiles that match where you want to perform your action. Tiles are double-sided with a preview of the reverse terrain in the corner. Each player has a terrain tile specific to their faction with their home terrain on both sides. It takes planning to ensure you can perform your desired actions. When an action removes pieces from the board, howl turns lone wolves into your wolf, dominated opponent dens and wolves turn into yours, add the replaced piece to the next day on the moonlight board. When a piece covers the crescent, quarter, and full moon icons, those board regions are scored by majority. After scoring, move the star tokens to their next scoring regions. There are contextual rules such as how far your wolves can move, how many can move, and how far away they can howl. You can't travel across the central chasm or any water sources. To upgrade a den to a lair, the den must be adjacent to a water source. For the most part though, this gives you the general idea of gameplay. After scoring the full moon, the game ends. Award additional points based on number of dens and lairs built, wolves added to your pack, and a number of captured unique prey. To break down, grow your wolf pack, spread across the land, and leave your mark to control each territory. That's the Wolves. By our second 3-player game, we had the Wolves down to an hour setup and takedown. Learning games add 15 to 30 minutes to playtime depending on the number of new players. Setup could take to 10 minutes if a single person is doing all the work themselves. If player bits are separated into baggies, cleanup is much faster. The beast rules aren't overly complex, but remembering player piece hierarchy plus rules exceptions could overwhelm young and or new players. You need 3x4 feet if playing with fewer than 5 people. The board's terrain hexes don't have words, meaning it doesn't matter whose side of the board you sit on. I mentioned that the 2-player game has quite a few differences, and I like this mode best. I'll talk more about this later. One thing to mention is that the 2-player game is understandably quicker. The Wolves has many player components of nice quality. My parents found the board to be very busy, but I surprisingly didn't. I found the terrains to be easy to distinguish. It also looks really cool at the end with all the pieces on it. Piece manipulation can be fiddly, and you need to be careful not to bump any board during play. The iconography is okay. Well, I think the theme comes through in much of the game. Maybe a more gamey element, a plus icon token, would have better reminded players of an extra action instead of a wolf head. Player tokens are quite similar with small icons. I wish they stood out more. The rulebook is colorful with tons of detailed examples, so that's good. There is some unnecessarily unthematic rules and or arbitrary ones. 3 wolves are needed to hunt a moose. Makes sense, but 3 for a rabbit? The central chasm is there to encourage you to spread. Cool, but why can't you go through the water sources? They sidetrack you by a single hex. It's like 2 working elevators next to one that's out of order, and a sign apologizing for the inconvenience. I guess I'm inconvenienced if I had my hopes set on that specific elevator, but am I really? There are elements that feel too strict and punishing, leaving you feeling dogpiled. Wolf-piled, I guess. In our second game, Dad dominated Mum, then I dominated her. At the end of the turn, the region scored. I ended up winning the tiebreaker. Removing pieces that your opponent worked hard for does take effort to achieve, but it's powerful. If your group does not enjoy nastiness in games, you could play without it, but I think that would significantly change the feel of the game. Don't get me wrong, I do like the dominate action. It makes thematic sense too. Big alpha wolves should be able to scare off smaller rivals, freeing up that area for their own pack to spread out. It's just mean. Other actions, even turns, can feel wasted. Players early in the turn order spend time building dens and getting wolves, setting themselves up for domination. That's contextual though. Something fixed is that those later in player order have a tougher time hunting and establishing territory compared to more experienced players who better understand scoring. Imagine spending turns to race towards the scoring region just to be dominated by the players after you. Success depends more on what others do than your own actions. Being pushed out of an area means you might not be able to return depending on your available actions and the timer. Having others hunt a specific animal before you might prevent you from getting max points. Speaking of areas, I like that points are worth more as the full moon nears. You'll usually be able to get some points in the 3 scoring phases, enough points by growing your pack. There can be games though where things just don't go your way at all. I like that layers are worth the most and that alphas break ties during the region scoring. I think alphas should be worth 2 points to make them more valuable though. They're stronger in every aspect of the game except for scoring, where they're no different than a pack wolf. By the second game, gameplay just feels similar. Setup may be variable, but it doesn't change what you do during each game. On the bright side, player turn length feels right. You can only take so many actions even with chain bonuses, so downtime isn't too bad. Pandasaurus makes a lot of great looking games, but most of the ones I've played just don't feel as good as we hoped. Sometimes it's due to components. Control, Coaster Park, Sonora. It's usually due to being so close, but it falls short due to lack of gameplay polish compared to Flash. The Dinosaur Islands come to mind. I really like the two-player game. It's the only way I'd ever play again, to be honest. The bot is there to block, but it isn't going to entirely ruin your game. Without that huge chasm preventing you from moving, I found there were fewer wasted turns, and the game came down to efficiency and maximizing each turn. Unfortunately, with so many excellent two-player games on the market, and this not being enjoyable at higher player counts, think before spending that $40 Canadian. The Wolves is an area majority strategy game with a theme I'd love to see explored a bit more. I think its rules acceptance make it more complicated than it should be, hurting its chances of being enjoyed by typical families. But it's too clunky and samey to be enjoyed by people who like thinkier experiences. I'm not even talking about super strategy designs by Vital Lacerda. I'm talking about medium weight board games that give numerous choices and decisions to benefit strategically with enough tactics to keep things interesting. The Pursuit of Happiness, Everdell, and Wingspan all have multiple paths to victory, mitigation, and themes that appeal to families. This could have been great. I really think so. Instead, it's not bad, but it is disappointing.